While the furnace technician was working in the basement, I ran a quick errand to the pharmacy. Suddenly my phone buzzed. It was him. But instead of a status update, I heard a terrified whisper. "Sir! Is there anyone else down here with me?" I insisted the house was empty, but before he could respond, a strange noise erupted, and the call cut out. I raced home in a panic, only to find the basement door, which had been sealed for 7 years, standing wide open. The technician was gone, and what I discovered completely changed everything I knew about my family. Hello, and thank you for being here. Tell me in the comments, which country or city are you joining us from today? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. A friendly heads up, this narrative weaves fictional elements with meaningful insights. Any similarities to actual people or places are coincidental, but the lessons within might just change how you see things. The furnace technician arrived at 8:45 on Saturday morning, March 15th, 2025. I checked my watch. Punctuality matters when you're 72 and retired. "Mr. Henderson," he said, extending a hand. Young guy, maybe 34, with genuine politeness. Issues with the heating system. I led him through my kitchen to the basement door. The wooden stairs creaked as we descended. "Furnace has been acting up for about a week," I explained. "Kicks on and off at random. Sometimes it just quits." He nodded, setting down his toolbox. "I'll take a thorough look." 9 o'clock. "I need to run to the pharmacy, about 15 minutes away. Will you be all right? Alone?" "I work alone most days, sir," he smiled. "I'll be fine." I grabbed my keys and headed to my Buick. The drive through Blackwood Valley, Pennsylvania, took me past familiar streets. I picked up my blood pressure medication, exchanged pleasantries with Sarah at the counter, and was walking back when my phone rang. 9:18. The technician's number. I answered, expecting a question about the furnace. Instead, his voice came thin and strained, barely a whisper. "Sir, who else is down here with me?" My hand tightened around the phone. "What do you mean there's nobody else home?" "Sir, I can hear—" The call dropped. I tried calling back, but my phone died, battery drained, despite being at 40%. My car charger was broken. I raced home the 15-minute drive, becoming 12 minutes of panic. I pulled into my driveway at 9:33. The front door stood slightly ajar. I always locked my doors. Always. "Hello?" I called out, pushing the door wider. "Are you all right?" Silence answered. I grabbed my Maglite flashlight and started down the basement stairs. The basement stretched before me. The furnace hummed quietly. His toolbox sat open, tools scattered. His flashlight lay on the concrete floor, still on. But he was gone. My beam swept across the space and froze. The old storage room door, locked for 7 years since my wife passed, stood wide open. I approached slowly. Someone had removed several boards from the back wall. Behind them gaped a darkness that swallowed my flashlight beam. A tunnel. There was a tunnel beneath my house. The technician's work glove lay at the entrance. Then I heard it. From deep within that darkness, breathing, footsteps, growing closer. I stumbled upstairs and slammed the basement door. My hands shook as I dialed 911 on the landline. "This is Jonathan Henderson at 2847 Hillcrest Road. I need police immediately. A repairman is missing from my basement, and there's a tunnel that shouldn't be there." They arrived within 12 minutes. Detective Emily Mitchell led 3 officers down while I waited upstairs. When she emerged an hour later, her face was grim. "Mr. Henderson, that tunnel system is extensive. Prohibition era, 1920s construction. But those support beams are solid. No cobwebs. This has been maintained recently." They'd mapped multiple branches, 3 exit points on my property. They'd found a photograph sealed in an evidence bag. Old, faded. 4 people stood in front of my house. Written on the back, Blackwood Collective, 1938. One of the men looked exactly like my grandfather. "Do you know what the Blackwood Collective was?" she asked. I'd never heard that name. They sealed my basement as a crime scene. Posted an officer outside. At 9:47, my landline rang. A voice, distorted mechanical, spoke 4 words. "Stop asking questions, Jonathan." The line went dead. Then, clear as day, I heard it from below. Movement. Something was down there. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak became footsteps in sealed spaces. Voices from the darkness below. When my phone rang at 6:30 Sunday morning, I lunged for it. "Mr. Henderson, this is Detective Mitchell. We found your technician. He's alive." Relief nearly buckled my knees. "A farmer spotted him at dawn about 2 miles from your property. Disoriented, dehydrated, but walking. He's at Valley General now." I was in my Buick within 5 minutes. Detective Mitchell met me outside room 214. He's shaken up, but insisted on talking. The young man looked a decade older, Cuts marked his forearms, a bruise darkened his temple. His eyes were haunted. And I was checking the furnace when I heard a voice calling for help from behind the wall. The storage room door was unlocked, just open. I saw the opening and called you because something felt wrong. After the call dropped, someone grabbed me from behind. Strong hands. Everything went black. When I came to, I was in this stone room. Filing cabinets everywhere. Documents, photos, lists of names from the 1940s. Mr. Henderson, I saw your grandfather's name. Multiple times. Did you see who took you? No, but I heard them moving through tunnels. This voice kept saying, you shouldn't have come down here. Next thing I knew, I woke up in that field. I pulled out my checkbook. I'm covering your medical bills and giving you $50,000. Non-negotiable. When I got home, my son David's Tesla sat in the driveway. He was pacing my living room, his wife Rebecca on my chair. Dad, what the hell is going on? Secret tunnels, federal involvement? Rebecca looked up. That storage room locked since Mom passed you. Never went through her things. I wasn't ready. At 72, you need to be ready. David crossed his arms. This house is a liability. You should sell it. Before I could respond, my daughter Sarah arrived from Michigan and hugged me fiercely. Dad, are you okay? He's not fine, David interjected. He needs help managing this. He needs support, not management, Sarah shot back. Detective Mitchell's sedan pulled up. She spread documents across my dining room table, photocopied deeds, faded letters, government contracts, stamped 1942. Blackwood Valley was dry during Prohibition. Your grandfather and 3 others built tunnels for bootlegging. But in 1942, the federal government needed secure storage for classified wartime materials. Your property became the central hub. She showed payment records. My grandfather had received what would equal $2.8 million today. Guardian succession protocol. The responsibility passes to the eldest child. Cannot be refused. Mitchell's voice softened. Your wife became guardian in 1978. She knew. For 40 years she knew and never told you. The room spun. 40 years of marriage, she'd carried this alone. That was the arrangement. Guardian protects. Spouse remains unaware for safety. David's expression shifted to calculation. So there's assets. Money. Your mother wasn't motivated by greed, I said sharply. Mitchell cleared her throat. Your grandmother, Eleanor Blackwood, tried to expose the collective in 1957. She went to reporters, demanded transparency. She was declared mentally unstable and committed to Riverside State Psychiatric Hospital. Spent 14 years there. She died in 1971. Mitchell showed photocopied letters, my grandmother's desperate handwriting. I am not mad. I am being silenced for demanding truth. She wasn't crazy, I whispered. They destroyed her. And now someone's trying again, Mitchell said quietly. The question is who and what are they willing to do to access what's under your house? 3 generations of secrets, and somehow I'd inherited them all. The house felt emptier that night. Sarah had gone to bed. David left with Rebecca without a word. I sat alone in my late wife's office, surrounded by her books and lavender scent. On the desk lay a manila envelope from Detective Mitchell, my mother's file from Riverside State Hospital. I opened the first letter, dated October 1957. The handwriting was shaky but deliberate. I am not crazy. They silenced me for telling the truth. My mother, Eleanor, had written dozens of letters, each describing what she'd discovered. The Blackwood Collective wasn't just bootlegging. In the late 1940s, my grandfather agreed to house classified government experiments beneath our property. She'd found lab reports, test subject logs, projects with no oversight. When she threatened to go public, my father had her committed. She died in 1971, convinced she'd failed. Sarah knocked softly and stepped inside, her face pale. Dad, I need to tell you something. She closed the door and sank into the chair. A man called me 3 months ago. He said he was from the Historical Monument Conservation Society. He needed information, your schedule when you left the house, whether the basement was locked. My chest tightened. Sarah? He offered me $100,000. James has been out of work for 14 months. We're drowning in medical bills. The bank threatened foreclosure. Her voice cracked. I told him you kept the storage room locked. I told him your medication schedule. I gave him everything to plan the attack. Silence filled the room. I didn't know what they were going to do, she whispered. I wanted to be angry, but felt only crushing sadness for her, for my mother, for all the secrets that had poisoned this family. Your mother kept secrets to protect us. You kept one because you were desperate. I said quietly, taking her hand. We'll fix this. Together. She nodded through tears. At the door, she paused. Mom used to say, when this is all over, your father will understand, and he'll forgive. I never knew what she meant. After she left, I searched the office systematically. Behind the third bookshelf, I found a false panel. Inside was a locked metal box. I used the key from her jewelry drawer. Inside were journals, letters, and a folder marked Guardian Protocol Top Secret. The first journal entry began in 1978, continuing until 6 months before her death in 2018. March 14th, 1978. I am now the guardian. The responsibility passes to the eldest living heir. They came today. Government contractors disguised as electricians. They maintain the vault beneath us. I cannot tell anyone, not even him. November 18th, 2003. I don't trust David anymore. Rebecca has changed him. If anything happens to me, the protocol must pass to someone else. February 7th, 2015. The legal delays are intentional. They're stalling because of Security Level 5. Projects no one was supposed to know about Manhattan. MK Ultra, Paperclip, Songbird. The last entry dated August 2017. If you're reading this, I'm gone. Forgive me for the silence. Protect what must be protected. Destroy what should never see light. The phone rang at midnight. I answered. A woman's voice, calm and measured. Mr. Henderson, this is Deputy Director Catherine Morales. Department of Defense. Do not attempt to enter the underground vault. A team will arrive at 7 a.m. tomorrow to brief you. Do not speak to anyone. Do you understand? Yes. The line went dead. Minutes later, I heard the front door open. Through the window, I watched David and Rebecca load suitcases into their car. The rain had turned to sleet. They drove off into the storm without looking back. I sat alone in the dark, my wife's journal in my lap, and wondered what tomorrow would bring. The black SUVs arrived at exactly 7 a.m. 6 federal agents in dark suits stepped out. Deputy Director Catherine Morales led them up the walkway. Sarah sat pale at the kitchen table. I let them in. Morales was mid-50s, gray-haired and sharp-eyed. Mr. Henderson, I worked with your wife for 15 years. She was an extraordinary guardian. She spread documents on the dining room table. The vault beneath your property contains classified materials from 1942 to 1989. World War II research Cold War intelligence files that could destabilize international relationships if disclosed. There's a trust fund, $2.8 million, established in 1978. You've been receiving quarterly payments your entire marriage without knowing their source. Sarah's face went white. Morales turned to her. The man who contacted you wasn't from any historical society. He was recruiting for the New Collective, a group trying to access this vault for a decade. Detective Mitchell arrived. You can't seize a man's property without due process, Director. I stood. I want to see the vault. This is my house. My wife's legacy. Morales shook her head. You don't have clearance. Then grant it, I said, voice harder than I'd ever heard it. Or I call every newspaper in Pennsylvania before noon. Sarah stood beside me. He has a right to know. The front door opened. David and Rebecca walked in, exhausted from their overnight trip. Rebecca stepped forward. You cannot bar a property owner from accessing his own land. There are serious constitutional issues here. Morales studied us, then nodded. All right. Now, we descended into the tunnel. At the end stood a massive steel door with 7 locks. Morales paused. Your wife tried to protect you from this. I hope you're ready. The door opened onto a climate-controlled vault the size of a warehouse. Filing cabinets lined the walls labeled with project names Manhattan, MK Ultra, Paperclip, Songbird. These documents would destroy diplomatic relationships if exposed, Morales said quietly. She led us to a heavier door marked Level 5, Access Only. Your wife never entered this room in 40 years. Morales underwent retinal scan fingerprint verification and entered a 12-digit code. The door opened. I stepped inside and froze. It was an active laboratory. Refrigeration units hummed marked with biohazard symbols. Computer monitors displayed real-time vitals. The electrical system was modern, sophisticated, a stark contrast to the aging house above. This facility is still operational, Morales said. In 1945, biological samples were secured here. Human tissue from test subjects, genetic markers for disease resistance, aging, cellular regeneration, research. She gestured to the cryo units. Stored here off the books with civilian guardians as cover. The subjects didn't consent. Some suffered permanent harm during extraction. Nausea rose in my throat. You're still using them for research. The research has saved thousands of lives, medical breakthroughs in cancer treatment, autoimmune disorders. We can't erase past atrocities, but we can ensure the suffering wasn't meaningless. She met my eyes. Would you end cancer research because of how samples were obtained 80 years ago? The moral paradox hung between us. Does the new collective know about this chamber? I asked. No, they know about the documents, not the active operations. If exposed, the research ends. Samples are destroyed. Future patients suffer. I stood surrounded by atrocities that powered modern medicine maintained in a laboratory beneath my century-old home. An alarm suddenly shattered the silence. Morales' radio crackled. Director, we have a breach upstairs. Multiple subjects entering the property. This is happening now. The new collective had arrived. Still watching, comment yes. If you think Jonathan's family will stand with him, or no. If you think they'll turn against him, let me see. You're still here. One more thing. The story that follows includes fictional elements, woven in for emotional depth. Not everything is literal truth. If you'd prefer something different, feel free to close this now. I burst out of the vault and up the stairs. The scene in the living room stopped me cold. Sarah sat in a chair, zip-tied at the wrists. Detective Mitchell had his weapon drawn, aimed at Rebecca, and two men I didn't recognize. David stood between them, his face twisted in anguish. Federal agents flanked Morales' guns raised. Rebecca's voice was calm. Nobody needs to get hurt. We just want access to the vault. How did you get past the officer outside? I demanded. David spoke quietly, not meeting my eyes. I told him there was a medical emergency down the road. He left. My heart shattered. I'm doing what you should have done years ago, Dad, David said. The truth deserves to see daylight. You don't understand what you're asking for, I said. I understand grandfather was coerced. Grandmother was locked away. Mom lived a complete lie. His voice cracked. Those documents prove the government experimented on people who never consented. Rebecca stepped forward. I am the collective, regional coordinator. The room tilted. Since when? I recruited your son 8 years ago, right before we got married. Her voice was ice. He already resented you. Felt you favored Sarah, never trusted him. I gave him purpose. 8 years of careful cultivation. Sarah sobbed from her chair. David, how could you? They made us accomplices to war crimes, David shouted. Rebecca held up her phone. 15 collective members are outside. Media is positioned. In 15 minutes, we go live. The screen showed news vans assembling at the driveway's end. 8 years of deception. The marriage was infiltration. I'd lost my son long before today. Did you ever really love me? I asked David softly. Even before she recruited you? His silence was answer enough. I straightened. You want vault codes, I don't have them. My wife protected me from this. Then we do it the hard way, Rebecca said. The countdown read 13 minutes. Sarah suddenly spoke. Wait, maybe I can negotiate my phone's in my purse. Rebecca gestured. Call them. One of Rebecca's men bent down to retrieve it. In that split second, Sarah jerked her bound hands free. She'd been working the zip tie loose, grabbed the agent's taser from his belt, and threw it straight to me. Chaos erupted. I ran to the antique bookshelf and yanked the hidden lever my wife had installed years ago. A silent alarm system designed for exactly this scenario. Every door locked automatically. Steel shutters descended over windows. David spun around, panicked. What did you do? Your mother prepared for exactly this? I said. This house has been a fortress for 80 years. Police fire, every response unit is coming. Morales added, radio jamming just activated. Your broadcast is dead. Within 3 minutes, sirens wailed in the distance. Within 5, the property was surrounded. Collective members outside scattered, some detained, others escaped into the woods. Inside, David, Rebecca, and her 2 agents were cornered. Federal agents moved in. David looked at me with anger and profound loss. I looked back with only grief. Officers entered and pulled Rebecca's hands behind her back. David didn't resist as they cuffed him. Sarah was freed. I pulled her into my arms. You saved us. But something in her expression wasn't quite relief. Guilt, something else I couldn't name. Through the window, I watched police load David and Rebecca into separate vehicles. My son didn't look back once. Not at the house. Not at me. The immediate threat was neutralized. The vault was secure. But standing there, watching my son disappear into a patrol car, I felt no victory. Only loss. Sarah stood beside me, trembling. I squeezed her shoulder, grateful she was safe. But a question nagged at the back of my mind, one I wasn't ready to ask yet. Why had Sarah's phone been in reach, and why had that agent bent down so easily? By 7 that evening, the house had finally emptied. Hours of interviews, debriefings, evidence collection. Now only Sarah, Detective Mitchell, and I remained. Sarah sat down heavily. Dad, there's one more thing about that $100,000. I didn't tell you everything. I tensed. What do you mean? 3 months ago, someone contacted me, but it wasn't the new collective. Not at first. Catherine Morales stepped out from the kitchen. She'd been waiting. I believe complete transparency is necessary now, she said evenly. You used my daughter to monitor me, I asked, voice hollow. Monitoring began 7 years ago after your wife passed. We needed assurance about succession. Morales folded her hands. Your wife arranged delays. We needed to observe you and both your children. I looked at Sarah. So you took their money, agreed to spy on your own father. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I didn't want to, but... She was given a choice, Morales interrupted. Cooperate with monitoring, or we would investigate her husband's termination for financial misconduct. That could become criminal charges. We could make it disappear, or prosecute aggressively. They had leverage, Sarah whispered. I'm sorry, Dad. I pieced it together. So the $100,000 story. Partially accurate, Morales said. The new collective DID contacted her separately. She reported it to us immediately. We told her to accept. The $100,000 from them was real, but she reported every detail to us. A double agent, I said slowly. My daughter was a double agent. I thought I was protecting you, Sarah said. They explained the new collective was dangerous. I genuinely believed I was helping keep you safe. By lying to me, I shot back, again and again. Mitchell spoke up. This is profoundly unethical. National security operations don't follow family counseling ethics, Morales replied coolly. So when you confessed earlier, I demanded. Partially scripted, Sarah admitted. The director instructed me to confess just enough to maintain your trust, but hide the government connection, and today being tied up, helping us escape. Sarah's composure broke. That was completely real. When I saw what my brother had become, I realized I'd been manipulated just like him. Different organization, identical methods. Her voice cracked. In that moment, I chose you. Not the mission. I chose my father over everything else. Morales nodded. That's why we're having this conversation. She exposed herself, but she proved her real loyalty. To you. I staggered back. Both my children manipulated. David by the new collective, Sarah by the government. Both believing they were doing right. Everyone in my life has lied to me, I said quietly. My wife, both my children, my own government. Mitchell spoke softly. I have been for what it's worth. I almost laughed bitterly. A detective I met 3 days ago is my most honest relationship, Morales continued, which is why your next decision carries such weight. The vault, the Guardian protocol. Expose everything or protect it. Your wife's legal delays expire in 48 hours. Guardian responsibility transfers to you. You can accept it, refuse it, or define a third option no one has considered in 80 years. I stood, resolve hardening. I need 24 hours of complete privacy. No surveillance, no monitoring, no government presence. Those are my non-negotiable terms, I said firmly. Or I contact every media outlet and disclose everything, including the biological samples and active research programs. Morales visibly paled, long silence. Understood. 24 hours. As she left, I realized I finally had full knowledge and complete agency. Now I had to decide wisely. Wednesday morning, March 19th, 2025. For the first time since the nightmare began, I was truly alone. The silence felt strange after days of chaos. Police radios, federal agents, family arguments, alarms. I made coffee and sat at my wife's desk with her journal open. Her handwriting filled page after page spanning 40 years. She'd carried this burden alone, protecting me from knowledge that might have destroyed us both. I had 3 choices. Accept the guardian role and continue the secrecy. Refuse it and let the government seize control. Or find something no one had considered in 80 years. By mid-morning, I'd decided. I called Morales. Gather all interested parties. 2 p.m. today. What are you planning? You'll see. By 2 o'clock, my property was surrounded. Media vans lined the road. New collective members, those not yet in custody, watched from a distance. Federal agents flanked Morales. Townspeople I'd known for decades gathered curious and concerned. I stepped onto the front porch. Someone had set up microphones. Detective Mitchell stood nearby, a silent presence of support. I addressed the crowd. My name is Jonathan Henderson. I'm 72 years old. I've lived in this house for 47 years. 3 days ago, I discovered my home sits atop a classified government vault containing materials from World War II through the Cold War. My wife knew. My grandparents knew. They kept secrets that psychologically destroyed them. I will not continue that tradition. The crowd stirred, cameras flashing. But I also won't recklessly expose everything. Some secrets protect innocent people. Some classified materials still carry legitimate security weight. So I propose a third path. Transparency combined with wisdom. I laid out my plan. I maintain legal ownership. The vault remains here. But I'm establishing an independent review committee immediately. Historians, medical ethicists, legal scholars, constitutional experts. No government appointees. No activists with predetermined agendas. This committee will systematically review every document and biological sample. Materials posing genuine current security threats remain classified. Materials documenting historical wrongdoing without ongoing security implications will be released through proper legal channels. The biological samples, the committee will determine whether research continues under strict ethical oversight, or whether those samples receive dignified final disposition. I retain final approval over all decisions. This is my property, my family's legacy, and I'm correcting 80 years of silence. A reporter shouted, "What about the government's objections?" The government can attempt litigation, but I have property rights, media attention, and public support. I'm willing to fight. To prove good faith today, I'm releasing one historical document. Online, a 1943 report on the vault's construction and original purpose. If the government attempts to block this committee, I'll immediately release additional materials. The crowd erupted. Morales looked furious. I stepped inside and closed the door. Over 2 weeks, Morales met with me repeatedly. Each conversation was tense. This sets a dangerous precedent, she argued. Perhaps precedent is overdue, I countered. Congress will never approve this. Then let's find out publicly. Detective Mitchell contacted the state attorney general on my behalf. I have legal representation. I'm not backing down. She studied me. Your wife would have been proud or horrified. Both probably. After 15 days, Morales returned with conditional agreement. Congressional oversight approval required. Takes months. Your committee needs security clearances. Government reserves the right to challenge specific releases. Agreed. As long as I retain final authority, and the committee remains independent. She nodded slowly. We have a framework. Good. Now let's address my children's situations through proper judicial channels. The third path was set. Not secrecy, not reckless exposure, wisdom. Weeks passed after my public announcement. The legal system ground forward, processing my son's case while I faced the parallel consequences of resolution. David faced serious charges: unlawful entry conspiracy, unlawful detention. The prosecutor wanted maximum sentencing to set an example. I met with her privately. He was systematically manipulated for 8 years by a sophisticated operative. This is his first offense in his entire life. He has a family who loves him regardless. He genuinely believed he was fighting for justice and transparency. A plea agreement was negotiated. 18 months in federal custody. Eligible for supervised release after 12 months with good behavior. Rebecca, his wife, attorney, and regional coordinator for the new collective, received 5 years in federal prison. Her leadership role, recruitment activities, and conspiracy charges warranted far harsher sentencing. I visited David before his sentencing hearing. The conversation in the detention center visitation room was brief and excruciating. "Do you hate me for what I did?" he asked quietly. I answered honestly. "I love you. I'm devastated by your choices and their consequences. But I love you. That will never change." My son cried for the first time since childhood. We embraced awkwardly across the barrier separating us. Sarah's path forward required different conversations. I spoke to her directly. "You lied to me under coercion. That doesn't erase the lie." "I know," she said. "I'll completely understand if you can't forgive me." I chose my words carefully. Forgiveness is a process, not a single event. It doesn't happen instantly. We start that process now together, one day at a time. Sarah temporarily moved back to help me manage the ongoing situation. She took leave from her nursing job to provide support. Our relationship rebuilt slowly through honest conversations that didn't avoid the painful truths. The furnace repairman deserved resolution too. I visited him at his home with a certified check for $45,000. This can't adequately compensate what you experienced in those tunnels, but it's a start, a beginning to making things more right. He was still visibly affected. I still have nightmares about those hours underground, the darkness, that voice. Not knowing if I'd see my family again, I responded with genuine empathy. Please use a significant portion of this for professional counseling services. You deserve complete peace and recovery from this trauma. What happened on my property should never have involved you. Thank you, he said. I appreciate this. I'm actually glad you found the truth about your family. So am I replied, however painful that truth turned out to be. The committee formation process began in earnest. Qualified candidates were identified: historians, ethicists, legal scholars, medical researchers. Vetting processes ensured no conflicts of interest with government agencies or activist organizations. Protocols were established for document review and classification decisions. Secure facilities were arranged for committee work. Congressional oversight hearings were scheduled. Media coverage was extensive but generally supportive of the balanced approach. My daily life during this period required adjustment, learning to live alone again in a house that now felt profoundly different. No more hidden secrets in the walls, but memories everywhere. Detective Mitchell became a genuine friend, visiting regularly. The local community remained supportive despite initial shock. Some neighbors avoided me. Others expressed admiration for standing up to government overreach. 4 months passed. The committee began operations. Legal processes advanced incrementally. Family healing proceeded slowly and painfully. I started finding new rhythms in a life forever changed by 3 days in March. September 2025, 6 months after the discovery. The committee had been operational for 4 months. Significant progress had been achieved. The first wave of historical documents was released publicly, records of wartime programs that genuinely needed exposure historical wrongdoing without current security implications. Public reaction mixed outrage at past actions with appreciation for transparency. Some materials remained appropriately classified after thorough independent expert review. The biological samples decision proved more complex. The committee ruled that research could continue under strict ethical oversight. An independent medical board was established for ongoing supervision. Families of original subjects where identifiable were offered compensation. Research findings would be published with full historical context. No more secret operations, everything transparent with proper oversight. My property's status had evolved. It was designated a controlled access historical site. Educational tours might be arranged in the future with appropriate security. The vault remained, but under multi-party oversight, not solely government control. I continued living in the house. It was still my home. One warm September evening, I hosted a small dinner gathering. Sarah was present, our relationship rebuilt through months of honest conversations. Detective Mitchell attended. He'd become a genuine close friend. The furnace repairman and his wife were guests of honor. His nightmares were diminishing through therapy. Healing was progressing. A simple meal, genuine laughter, a sense of peace. We raised our glasses together, to truth, to wisdom, to healing. Sarah shared. Dad David called from the facility. He wants to talk with you. I answered calmly. I'm visiting him next week. We talk regularly now. Mitchell observed, You're doing genuinely important work here. The committee is releasing materials that should have been public decades ago, I replied thoughtfully, and protecting what genuinely needs protection for legitimate reasons. It's about balance and wisdom, not absolutes. The repairman added, You could have avoided all this. Sold the house, moved away. Instead, you faced it with courage. Made something positive from a nightmare. I had help, I said. From all of you. I couldn't have done this alone. After guests departed, I stood alone on the front porch, looking out over land that had been my home for 47 years. Still the same house, but completely different meaning. No more secrets hidden in these walls. My wife's memory honored differently now, not through secrecy, but through wise disclosure. My grandmother's dream, partially fulfilled truth, had emerged, but with wisdom. My own independent path forged through an impossible situation. For 80 years, my family carried an impossible burden. Complete silence or total exposure. Systematic lies or complete destruction. But a third choice always existed, waiting to be discovered: wisdom. The courage to carefully distinguish what should remain concealed for legitimate reasons and what should be publicly known for justice and accountability. It's not perfect. Some criticize from the government side, others from transparency advocates, but it's honest, it's balanced, it's wise. And after a lifetime surrounded by lies and deception, honesty means everything to me now. I remained on the porch as evening descended peacefully, truly at peace with my decision for the first time. Work continued daily. Healing progressed slowly, but steadily. Truth finally had its rightful place alongside necessary and legitimate caution, and I could finally sleep soundly each night, knowing I'd chosen wisely. If you've stayed with me until now, let me leave you with this final reflection. For 80 years, my family believed we had only two choices, complete silence or total exposure. We were wrong. There is always a third path, the path of wisdom. God gave us the discernment to distinguish between what must remain protected and what deserves to see light. I spent decades living beside secrets I didn't know existed. My wife carried burdens that slowly consumed her. My children were manipulated by forces beyond their understanding. Don't wait as long as I did to question the impossible choices you're given. Don't accept that silence and exposure are your only options. Don't let secrets poison the relationships that matter most. And don't face these burdens alone. I couldn't have found my path without help from those who stood beside me. If this story resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever faced an impossible choice that turned out to have a hidden third option? Subscribe to stay connected. Your support means everything. Thank you for listening to the end. A gentle reminder, the stories that follow contain fictional elements crafted for reflection and insight. If they're not quite right for you, feel free to explore other content that speaks to your journey. Until we meet again, choose wisdom over absolutes.